Here are today's episode highlights.
Today we're going to continue with the topic because we teased it and we're going to deliver. It's all about LA fires.
And she's brave enough to come and vulnerable enough to come and share her story.
Sí.
I think, their stories deserve to be heard.
Everybody was like, please, they were turning volunteers away. Yeah. So then I was like, what can I do? Like, how can I help? Because I felt helpless that I couldn't go and actually volunteer somewhere.
And you have people who come around and ask, hey, how are you? And you wonder, like, should I tell them how I am? Because how I am is broken. So now we're getting another alert, and I start to get real nervous.
Oh, what does this alert say?
Is it a warning or an actual evacuation?
Evacuation.
Okay.
And so I tell my sons, do not come up. And I'm shocked to see palm trees on fire. I'm like, how is that possible? How is this? Like, we're on the beach.
Right.
Yeah.
How is that
There's water right
possible?
there.
God, we're Latinos. We live here. Like, we made it.
You can represent that you belong there too.
Yeah.
Yes.
We belong here too. Like owning a home.
Just achieving something like that. Yeah, I'm purpose-driven. I'm faith-driven. So I'm like, okay, God, what do you have for me here? What's this about?
Para eso somos las amigas, Tish. Para eso estamos en las buenas y en las malas.
I'm living in other people's clothes and shoes,
Well, it looks good on you, girl.
I know, right?
Diría mi mamá, tienes cuerpo de limosnera. Todo te queda. Diosito sabe por qué hace las cosas, por qué nos juntó y por qué las comadres Unfiltered ahora son parte de esta misión tan bonita de Vámonos USA.
Hey girl, welcome! We've been waiting for you.
Bienvenida. We are four comadres and we are so excited to have you here. I am Argelia.
I am Mindy.
I am Diana.
And I'm Janet.
This is Comadres Unfiltered. ¡Salud! ¡Hey! ¡Salud, comadritas! ¡Salud! ¡Ay, qué guapas! Nos veo muy sexys.
Hoy sí.
No, se nota que hace-
Siempre.
Se nota que hace frío.
Sí.
Porque traes un suéter y botas.
claro.
Sí.
Pero ¿sabes cómo sé que hace frío, comadrita?
¿Cómo?
Cuando ya agarro mi tecito.
Ay, sí.
No, honestly,
Está
there's
bien
something
rico.
about the cold weather that we're
And
going
tea.
through.
And
And tea just...
And it's
so true.
comforting.
Oh, it's so comforting and so calming and
comforting.
soothing.
Yes.
And guess what? This tea is extra special.
So yummy.
Isn't it yummy?
Oh my God, I love
It's
flavor.
super good.
It's got to be Tadin tea. So, anyways, try to
Qué
guess the
rico.
flavor without looking at the boxes. Don't
see
cheat.
here.
Try to guess the flavor. Try to
already looked.
No, you cheated.
I did.
I know.
Let's see, the
Some
box
mango.
it's orange or something.
Maybe orange and
fruit.
mango?
Orange and mango. ¿Tú qué piensas que es? Está riquísimo, ¿verdad?
Like a
So
peach.
delicious.
Okay,
flavor.
peach.
Yeah.
Okay, you already cheated, cheater.
I did cheat.
Okay. Okay. ¿Dijiste mango?
Yeah.
No estás tan perdida.
Okay.
Turmeric
Oh.
and mango
Has turmeric in it?
and ginger.
Isn't it
Oh my
Can you believe it?
gosh, it's so good.
Turmeric,
great
mango,
combo.
ginger tea.
Turmeric
En
is really
español,
good for
té
you,
de
right?
cúrcuma, mango y jengibre.
It's so good.
It's so good.
yeah, the
delicious.
ginger I didn't
Right?
expect,
Mira,
and
ya
then
estoy
I
vieja,
loved
I'm
it.
like-
A ver como mi
Wait,
mamá.
hold on.
It is, girl. It's mango.
Try to
good.
read the what it's. Oh,
I know.
oh, it's turmeric, ginger.
No me
and-
crees.
Yes.
No me crees.
No te creo.
No,
No
it's
te creo.
delicious. What a
It's
great
so
combo.
good.
And you know
Ooh,
what the best
during
thing
the
is?
summer on ice. Can you
Totalmente.
imagine?
The best thing. I didn't put sugar in mine.
Qué rico.
I don't put sugar in my tea.
tampoco.
Sugar needed.
I do
never
not
put
like sugar in my
sugar.
teas because I feel like it takes away from the actual natural flavor.
Yes.
And Tadin tea and I have a special relationship and connection of years. People already know, my followers know that I love this tea. You know why?
Why?
Dale sabor a tu salud. That's why.
Oh, I love it.
You like it, Janet?
sí,
Janet,
me
Janet.
gustó.
Repeat after me. It's like, repeat after
We
me.
need like in post. Cling.
Cling. It's dale sabor a tu salud. Comadritas, welcome. Welcome. This is officially episode 2.
Yes.
This is episode 2. And if you recall, episode 1 was extremely heavy, but also lighthearted. But it was a very emotional, that first episode, our comeback, right?
Yes,
our
it was.
return from our hiatus. And today we're going to continue with the topic because we teased it and we're going to deliver. It's all about LA fires. It's all about how it impacted. We already talked about how it impacted us personally, but today's about how it has impacted hundreds of families. And today we have a very special guest that is going through the process, right? The journey
Yes.
of
It's one of
figuring
our-
things out.
Yeah, and one of our
friends.
close friends that we've been following her journey from the beginning,
Sí.
and she's brave enough to come and vulnerable enough to come and share her story.
Sí.
I think their stories deserve to be heard, and I think we're gonna learn a lot.
Sí, totalmente. So we're going to hear that beautiful in its way story about resilience and rebuilding and resetting and everything that starts with the like relaxation, right? But we're also going to talk about what it is, how we can give back. Because I know that one of the questions is, this I heard from many people, we want to give, but we don't know how. Because it's overwhelming. There's so much information out there and organizations and GoFundMes that it can be a little bit scary because you don't even know where.
Also, one of the things, like, I wanted to help, and you couldn't even get on a list anymore to volunteer because they
You
were
got rejected.
overwhelmed.
Did you get rejected?
I was rejected. I booked out like a whole Saturday. I had my kids
we
with their
both got
dad, and I was
rejected.
like, I'm ready to go. And then I got a text message at 8 a.m. Do not come. We have way too many volunteers. And
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And then at that point, I was trying to
That's a
like
great
find
bond to
another
have.
place. Yeah. And everybody was like, please, they were turning volunteers away. So then I was like, what can I do? Like, how can I help? Because I felt helpless that I couldn't go and actually volunteer somewhere.
And now we got talking.
Yes.
And
So
I know.
And that was
now
a
we're
strong
going to talk more
feeling.
about that, about how we got
exactly.
involved.
See, there was a point where we felt impotent, huh?
Yes.
We just felt impotent because here are families that are losing everything, and here we are like, why are we not in that position? But what can we do?
survivor's guilt.
Totalmente. That impotence is, wow, it plays tricks on your mind. I mean, it was playing tricks on our mind like, this is not right. We can't just be sitting here. We got to do something. So we're going to talk to one of our founders of this beautiful organization, nonprofit called Vámonos USA later on. But before we get to her, we are going to prepare ourselves to receive our very special guest today, Tish Galindo. Maybe many of you have seen her social media because she's been very vocal about her journey. But she firsthand has gone through major loss, and she witnessed the devastation in front of her eyes. She literally lived it. And she's here to tell her story because she's ready. I think she's ready.
Yeah. I hope she's ready.
I hope she's ready.
Grab some tissues, comadritas.
I think so. She lost her home. She lost practically everything in that house. And we just want to be able to say, Tish, how can we help you? How can this platform be of assistance to your healing process? So you're right. The power of community kicks in right now.
It
So
does.
grab your tissues because we're about to welcome Tish, our amiga de
Yes.
tantos años.
I love it. I love
Thank you,
it.
Tish. Thank you for
Love it,
joining
love
us
it.
today.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
think,
you.
I mean, the very first thing, we just want to make sure that you're okay, that you feel secure, that you feel protected and loved and hugged more than anything. So how are you feeling, amiga? But like, really, how are you feeling?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for having me here. We've been talking about doing this. I'm such a fan of the subjects you're talking about. Even the word like comadre, like the comadre, right? And to have like co-friends in this journey is like so important. And God, that question, how are you?
It's a heavy question.
Loaded
right?
question.
Loaded.
We have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Take your time.
It's great. It's 3 weeks. And you have people who come around and ask, hey, how are you? And you wonder, like, should I tell them how I am? Because how I am is broken. I'm sad.
Yeah.
I'm sad.
So we followed your journey.
Yeah.
But a lot of our comadritas are getting to know your story.
Yeah.
So Tish is one of the many, persons that lost her home completely. And today was a
Today was a big day.
big day for you.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it's 3 weeks. And today was the first day that I went to the house. My sons had gone and I wasn't ready. And I'm smiling, laughing because that's what I'm going through, like a series of emotions, ups and downs. And I know everyone's going through it. The community of people who have lost their home is tight right now. You see them and you're like connecting and hugging and you're like, oh my God, because community is so important and this is what you're creating. And then there's sub communities of everything. And so I had not been able to go. I didn't have the courage to go. But the reason I'm smiling is that I went and I'm like, God, your brain plays games with you. I went with the intention to go get things. I went with intention to go get things that belonged to my sons. And, you know, I went and I had my little hazmat suit and my boots. They give you all of that. It's an incredible organization, what our city is doing to make sure that you're safe. And I went with a full heart, ready to go see my house and go get things that what I wanted to rescue were the things that belonged to my children, to my sons. Those are like the most valuable things. And as I'm driving through despair,
It's
you know,
apocalyptic.
it is. I get there and I'm like, oh shit, there's no way I'm going to find anything here. And the reality sits in, you know, that there's nothing there. So I'm feeling, and I laughed because I'm like, my brain thought that I was going to come and get something here. I'm like, what? It's rubble. It's
rubble.
and it's blocks and blocks of it.
Did you look through the stuff? Like, what did you do when you got there? When you got out of your car?
I
What
did.
was that like?
I mean, I breathed, I took it in, and I was like, wow, this life has changed, you know? And then I proceeded to go in and think, I was like, oh my God, this is a real thing you have to go into.
Right.
And I started to move things around and see, and I'm like, there's no way. In my mind, I'm like, oh, I knew where these things were, so I'm going to go straight there and I'm going to find them. And it's no, everything is broken, shattered, ashes,
I saw melted pieces of metal.
melted.
Did you find anything?
Nothing survived. Right?
I found Pyrex bowls.
Oh, wow.
So they are fireproof.
They are. And I was like, oh, wow. But I knew that my sons had made like these pottery things for me, like these cups when they were in the kindergarten. And they're 22 years old now, you know? So there were things that I was looking for. And no, it's complete mayhem. It is, everything's destroyed.
Could you recognize like where your kitchen was, your room, your living room? I mean, could you, or it's just like...
No, you can recognize certain things because you can see like a destroyed metal of the washer and dryer or destroyed, you know, appliance that looks like an oven. But other than that, it's hard to make out what everything is. I thought I was going to go to the section where I had all my jewelry.
Right.
And I thought I was going to go get it. I'm like, I thought, which is weird because my kids had already gone and they looked around. I told them where to go.
Right.
Even better than that, I gave them, you know, the big Costco containers
Right.
Yeah.
to go bring me stuff.
Wow.
My
wow,
God.
wow.
And then everything was gone.
Everything was
And they're like,
gone.
Mom, there's nothing there. And I knew that. I'd seen the app. I had followed all the aerial shots. I knew there was nothing there, but your mind won't let you accept until you go. And it's like, you have to take all these different steps to closure, right?
See.
So I'd gone there. Oh, I had gone there. I'd seen it. My sons went, and then they're like, your containers are empty. There's nothing here. And I was crying. And then there's magical moments because my car also burned on one side, but the whole car didn't burn. And my son had a shirt in that car that he wasn't supposed to buy. It was like this $500 shirt that he wasn't supposed to buy.
Oh, my goodness.
He'd been hiding it in the car. And my other son rescued it, and he came to where we're staying now. And he's like, I've got something. And he pulls it out. And he's like,
That one sweater, right?
and we're all jumping up and down. We're like, oh my God.
Celebrating that one piece, right? Like, wow.
You just live for those moments.
You know, mentioning these mementos that you wish you would have seen, you know, can you take us back to the beginning when the fires were starting? Where were you? Were you home? How was that like for you? Did you think that you were going to come back, or did you feel like You took everything that you knew. Did you have shock? Like, what was that like for you?
I remember even texting her, like, because I heard about it when it first started. We were texting, hey, how are you, honey? How's everything going? I noticed that there's a fire over there. I didn't even think much about it, but I know that you kept posting things about pray for my neighbors, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
And we were all watching the whole
watching
Carmageddon
that.
thing.
Right.
And we thought of you because
I was
you
in
were
it.
you were
Yeah.
in it, literally in it, and you were actually documenting that. So we want to hear from that experience.
Sure. I mean, it was 11-ish that morning. By the way, it was a day before my birthday. And, you know, as we all work from home now, I was like in the worst sweats and the worst, clothes with messy ponytail, but I was working. And my son alerted me because he worked in Malibu. He's like, hey, we're getting alerts over here. That fire feels awfully close to the house. So I went and I looked and I'm like, it does feel a little close. But, I haven't gotten an alert yet.
Yeah, because the fire started at 10:30ish,
Yeah.
and this is already 11 o'clock.
It's 11.
And the winds were like,
And you can see it. And I'm like, does feel a little close for comfort. But we know of fire alerts out there with Malibu and the Palisades. And so I was like, And I saw some workers on the rooftop of my neighbor. And so I checked on my neighbor. You said, hey, is everything okay?
Yeah.
I see some alerts. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, should I be paying attention to this? And my son starts to text me again. I'm getting off work and I'm heading towards you. And I'm like, really? And I have the housekeeper who's helping me. And I tell her, Doña Leticia, maybe we should get a couple of things together for the dogs and the boys. My other son is grocery shopping. And so I call him and I'm like, hey, don't come up the hill. I'm going to pack up a few things and I'll meet you down the hill because I live up the hill. And he's over by Sunset and he's actually by Temescal, Will Rogers, right?
Okay.
That's a 10-minute drive for us. Anyway, I mean, God is so divine. And I know you ladies are spiritual women. I am a spiritual woman. My whole life, I've carried God in my life. And, so my handyman, who wasn't supposed to come till Friday, he comes on Tuesday and he's like, Doña Leticia, colombiano, no es porque estoy vieja, es porque es costumbre.
Es respeto.
Es respeto. He's like, Doña Leticia, I had some extra time, so I came early. He's like, you know what? I don't like the way the fire looks. He's like, I'm here to take down the Christmas tree, but I don't like this fire. Maybe we shouldn't do that today. And the lights and all that. And I'm like, okay, David, he's like, what can I help you with before I leave?
Yeah.
I'm like, help me pack up the dogs, food for the dogs. I'm going to take off. I'm going to leave. And he's like, okay. So my two sons are out. I'm home and I'm with the housekeeper and now my handyman. And he starts wetting the house. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. I don't like this fire. Wow. So now we're getting another alert and I start to get real nervous.
Oh.
What does this alert say?
Is it warning or an actual evacuation?
Evacuation.
Okay.
And so I tell my sons, do not come up. Do not come up. I'm going to head down. And I tell David, my handyman, and the housekeeper, you guys go. I'm going to pack my dogs in my car. You guys go get out of here before you're stuck in traffic. And he's like, okay.
Wow.
So he leaves and I have my dogs and we're going to get into my car, me and my dogs. And I only grab clothes for the boys, clothes for me for one day. And I grabbed 2 albums that my mom made me. That's it. I don't get anything else. I see all my purses. I see all my shoes. I'm like, ay, no quiero desacomodar todo eso. I'm like, I don't want to mess it all
We
up.
were talking about it in the last episode about do we feel guilty about taking the bags?
Yeah.
But it's like
They're
you were saying,
expensive.
expensive, and
They're in your
it's
investment.
money.
Yes.
They're investments. But I also had a ton of photo albums. I had the kids' pictures backed up in USBs, but in the same house.
Wow.
So here's the thing, right? You have everything backed up, but you have it in the same house.
Exactly.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my dogs. I'm going to get out here. And I have a cambio for everyone, a change of clothes. And as I'm walking out to the car, I'm like, where are the keys? And my son calls me. He's like, Mom, I have the car key and they won't let me up.
Oh my gosh.
No me digas eso.
That
And I'm
explains
like,
why your car
That's when my car burned.
Unbelievable.
Oh my
Because
God.
I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, if I tell him I'm scared, he's going to try to come up here.
Yeah.
And I tell him, you know what, don't worry. I'm going to figure it out right now. I'm like, le corro. I'll run with the dogs, you know, whatever. We'll figure it out. And he's like, Mom, I want to go up. And I'm like, no. You stay, like, we don't all have to be in danger. You stay at the bottom of the hill. And I tell my other son, my oldest son, do not come up. And what does he do? He can't come up either. He leaves his car and he's running up,
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
which saves my life, I'm going to say, because my handyman's driving down and he sees my son running and he's like, Dylan, what are you doing running? And he tells him, I couldn't get up with the car. My mom's up there. And he's like, jump in the van. And my handyman turns around and comes and picks me up in the van, in his work van.
Wow.
So now it's me and the handyman. I throw the dogs in the van. I throw, and my housekeeper was with him. And we're all in this van trying to get down. And I'm talking about something that's 10 minutes away and it takes 2 hours.
Wow. Qué
2
desesperación.
hours to get off that
Because
hill.
everyone's trying to get out.
Run for their life.
And people are leaving their car. And we're going in circles trying to weave out. And there's no way you can weave out. And I'm seeing the fire and I'm like, my house is gone. I'm like, oh my God.
In that moment, you really thought, that's it. It's gone.
In your heart, did it just sink?
I
What happened
live
there?
like a few blocks away from the elementary school on Marquez, and I saw Marquez's backyard on fire. And I'm like, if that's on fire, my house is on fire. And then, the brain does all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
I'm like, oh no, it's only going to be my backyard. I'm like, it's going to calm down and it's only my backyard. Anyway, for the next 2 hours, we're in this van. Both my sons are panicked because my son has now jumped out of the van to go to his car, which was at the bottom of the hill. And as mad as I was at him for running up, I was like, thank God, because that's how David saw him, right? So we're in this van, and I don't know why we didn't just get off and walk. We didn't.
Wow, which is what a lot of people ended up doing.
They did.
Right? They abandoned their cars. They took
they
the
kept
keys.
Yes.
But es que es un acto de desesperación. It's either here or running, save myself,
Well,
right?
there's smoke too, right? The smoke
Yes.
was
The
getting really
smoke
heavy.
is dense. It's crazy. Palisades has a lot of elderly folks too. I saw a couple like older ladies, and when I say older, I mean like in their 70s and 80s, trying to water their lawn, and I'm like, you need to go. I'm like, go.
You need to leave.
I know. I was so scared for them. I was so worried for them. And I'm seeing this really pitch black cloud all over our community now. I'm like, oh, we're on fire. Eventually, someone opens up this pathway to the Bel Air club there, and that becomes an exit that opens up the access.
traffic, right? Yeah, the
and we get out. We get out and we get to Will Rogers, where Temescal and Sunset, where
Right.
PCH meet. Wow. And I'm shocked to see palm trees on fire. I'm like, how is that possible? How is this, like, we're on the beach.
Right,
Yeah.
How is that
There's water right
possible?
there.
There's water right in front.
I'm like, what is going on? But we don't know. Like, I didn't know that you can't use ocean water to turn off fires. Like,
I didn't know that either.
no, there's a lot of misinformation. People think like, why didn't they use water?
Those
Well, they
water
did,
heaters, huh?
but everyone's using the water at the same time, so pressure's going down, and it's complete madness. And you're seeing everything, and I'm like, it doesn't register. It doesn't. Thank God, one of my girlfriends was like, "Come here, bring the dogs." I'm like, well, it's me, my sons, the dogs, and she's like, come. And we proceeded to park ourselves in front of the TV and watch our city go up in flames,
It's
So we're watching your area and we're watching Altadena. And we're watching this as well from like far from you guys, but we're thinking the city is being literally burnt down. And we thought at one point, right, Mindy, that we were under attack of some sort of.
Me
but
too.
then, because it was happening too fast, the tragedy was
all over.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And we wanted to communicate with people that we knew. Like in your case, we were watching your stories.
Yeah.
And we can't even, like I told you when you got here, we can't imagine because we're not in your shoes.
Yeah, we're not.
But from what we see, it's already draining and painful. There's no words that we find to say, like, we know exactly what you feel because we're not going to lie to you. We just don't, we haven't lived it and we don't want to live it, obviously, but hearing your story,
Yeah.
y mira que hemos escuchado muchas historias ya on TV, Fire Aid, but still to know that to me, you're the closest person I know that has lost something precious, which is all your life's work.
I mean, you worked so hard, and I know that you had that dream to be by the ocean. You know, we go back, 30 years, I want to say? 30 plus probably, right?
30 years.
So I've known you from, your second home.
Desde chiquita. Because I'm still very chiquita.
Yes. And then, how long did you live at the Palisades home?
Almost 6 years. The Palisades for me, as you guys can probably really feel this, immigrant parents, my parents probably would have worked in that community.
Right.
So that, to me, to live there and be able to give that to my sons is like reaching, the brass ring, right? Like you made it. You made it.
That's right.
And I always felt like, God, we're Latinos, we live here, like we made it.
You can represent that you belong there too.
Yeah.
Yes.
We belong here too. Like owning a home.
Just achieving something like that was incredibly special. And we spent some of the best years of our life there. And I'm so grateful for that. Had a beautiful view. My house is small. My house is smaller than my house in Encino where I lived and raised the kids. But I have the ocean and the ocean view. Wow. And the Palisades is a jewel. It's a little gem. And I was so proud of it. And I try to share it with everyone. I try to share it with friends, family. And it was a small house. But I also try to share the view with everyone, probably obnoxiously so.
No, but I love that. You were so proud of it. I was so proud of it for you.
Thank
because
you.
I haven't known you that long, but I see how hard you work and how you accomplish that. And just a few weeks, it feels like just a few weeks ago, but right before the fires, I remember you were posting over Christmas time and you had parties. You had your whole family there. You were dancing with your grandma.
Yes.
We saw
in the living room. And
I think
it was
that's
this
one of your last
beautiful
posts.
setting. I mean, and so to hear you, that you had all these great memories there, that's painful.
Yeah,
that's got to be so painful.
Talking about Christmas, today we saw your Christmas tree.
So my Christmas tree.
You posted that picture with your burnt Christmas tree. I think only the frame was left, right? Just the stick with the wires.
That's a difficult image to process,
It was.
right?
Yeah. I gathered my family for the holidays for Christmas. And again, it was a smaller house in the Palisades. But I was so proud to invite my family and to expose my nieces and nephews to this. Like, you can live this life, go for it, And it was the first time that my entire family had gotten together at my house. I used to always host my family in Encino because it was a much bigger home. But it was challenging to do in this home. But they all wanted to. And I'm like, how insane, how beautiful is the world, the universe, where we were able to do this only to 2 weeks later to be wiped out, and I'm so forever grateful for that moment, those images. And, just to share that with them. I remember walking down the beach during the holidays with my niece, and she tells me, Dia, can you believe that people live like this? And I'm like,
hello?
I live like this.
I'm like, I live like this. And she's like, you do. And I'm like, and you can too. And you get the story because we've grown up with those values and we've grown up with the American dream that we can achieve and we can. And so it was meaningful for me in many different ways.
I love your hope that even throughout all this tragedy, you still hold on to that hope and you talk about those moments and you cherish those moments that this home gave you.
Yeah.
What has been maybe an unexpected lesson that you received from this experience?
Well, you ladies, for sure. You know, how you've, surrounded me and the circles of love and prayer, and people coming around. I mean, I think we're all seeing it, right? Last night I watched the Fire Aid show and I was crying. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, how wonderful, how beautiful these artists coming together and creating hope. And entertainment and joy is important during these times because it's not constantly sadness, nor can we live in constant sadness. You have to find silver lining. Yes. You have to find moments of joy, like when my son picked up the shirt and we're like, oh my God,
celebrate
because
that.
You have to find the wins. You have to, I'm purpose driven. I'm faith driven. So I'm like, okay, God, what do you have for me here? What's this about? I mean, I want this to be exciting for your viewers, and I want them to enjoy the conversation and not get so super deep and philosophical. But I mean, a personal reflection for me is to look at my life and go, wow, if this were death in real time, how did I do? How did I do? Right. And I've had people show up and start a GoFundMe, and God, that was painful. I felt so raw and naked, and I felt like embarrassed. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. And I had people donate your basics, and I needed them. Yeah. I needed the socks and underwear and a robe. And someone that I've known for years who showed up with pillows, fresh pillows, and a robe and slippers. I'm like, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
You need
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for caring for us that way. But it's so vulnerable when you are women who are boss women and you're used to making decisions and you're used to giving to others. And God, it feels so good to give. It feels so good to give.
Yes.
Because you're in charge, you're in control, you're giving joy. And then all of a sudden to receive, you're like, wait, why? What's wrong with what is it? And you're like, oh, I'm in a really bad place right now, And
so you had to open up, right? And,
God,
and accept
and receive and accept that love that you were receiving from all your friends and family, right?
I thought a lot about being here.
Really?
I thought a lot about being here. I'm like,
and we actually thought a lot about how do we approach Tish, because we don't want to be too rushed into having you on the podcast, knowing how fresh this still is. I mean, it literally is the last day of the month. We haven't even been through a month of chaos, and we were, do we do it? Is she ready? And we didn't want to put you in the spot because we're friends. I should say yes. Like, it was like, how do we tell Tish until you're ready?
Yeah,
right.
But I feel like we've seen how active you are on social media and how you're using your platforms and your agency and how you want to continue to give, despite the fact that you are right now on the other side, right? And so this is the reason why para eso somos las amigas, Tish. Para eso estamos en las buenas y en las malas, que es cuando de verdad cuenta.
Yeah.
I love that going through what you're going through. The one thing you're saying is like, how can I help?
Yeah.
You're still in help mode, and you're still in active mode, and you want to use your voice, and you want to use your research and your know-how, to help your community and to help our Latino community that has also been affected. And I'm in awe because, like you just said, we go through so many of those emotions, and it's they're ever evolving, right?
Yeah,
like you say. And even now, as you're getting ready to possibly rebuild and move through the next, I don't even think you're there yet. I think there's just so many phases before you even get there.
Yeah.
And it's one day at a time, you know?
And how does that look like?
Yeah, what does that look like?
What does
for
that
you?
look like?
It's heavy. I mean, the first few days, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. I find posting healing. And I don't know that it's for anybody else as much as it's a message for me of centering myself, finding moments to I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Those are my little things of courage, of posting the Christmas tree that had been with me for like 20 years, you know, since I'm like, all the ornaments, everything that you collect of your children, you know, they're all gone. And here's the thing, like I've lost every single thing, the little things that my sons made, their first ornaments, it like shakes me to my ground. And then I'm thinking, wow, and I'm still okay. So much attachment and I'm still okay. I'm still me. And I didn't think I would be me. I always felt that if I didn't have all this and I didn't get, I would not be me. And I'm like, God is so good. You're strong beyond, you know, we are all strong beyond what we know. And there are so many people who have it different. And last night I was delighted to see a 90-year-old woman from Pasadena talking about the joy of all her memories in that home. And it was ashes. And I was like, if she can be happy, I can be happy. And I found joy in hearing her story. And I'm like, I have to find joyous moments here. But again, it's a roller coaster of emotions constantly, you know, going in there. And I laughed. I was like, you really thought you were going to come pick up your kids' stuff here, you know, because I really did.
But you know what it's called? Hope. You were hopeful that you would find something, and you didn't find that one thing that you were looking for, but that's hope. And that's really what we live for. Mientras hay vida, hay esperanza. Y tú tienes vida y tienes esperanza. Because had you gone there with the mentality of, I'm just going to go and see the rubble, but you're still a hopeful person, Tish. And that is the beauty of your resilience. That is the beauty of your strength. That is the beauty of your presence here. I know that earlier you said, subscribers, I'm not here to like down. You're thinking of their feelings.
I am.
What does that say about you?
I am.
Tienes que ponerte de vez en cuando tú primero. Y te lo digo porque you need to take care of your hopefulness, you know? Because they all, right now, they're learning. We're all learning from you. We're all learning. Like, you don't have to walk on eggshells to make us feel like, oh, here's Tish with her downer story. No, amiga, no. Do not think of our feelings for once. Think of you.
It's that there's hope after devastation, right? That's what you're giving everyone, and it's a beautiful journey that you're taking on, and you are giving so many people so much hope.
You are. You don't see it.
You don't see it, but I see it.
Well, I've been talking to God lately, and I'm like, I'm done being strong.
And that's great because you're right. I also love that post that you did share something that I loved it. I even talked about it on the radio. I read it because I think it's so true. We all say, lo bueno es que tú estás bien y tienes vida. Lo demás es material. And I loved what you shared about what a friend told you. Like, no. You do not know, but those words are not going to cut it. Right now, you're not feeling what I'm feeling. Like, I cannot find my kid's trinket when he was in kinder. And you're right.
Exactly.
You're right. We cannot assume that just because you have life, you're okay. No. Because we're not in your shoes again. You know what I mean?
It's a process.
So thank you for sharing those words, because when I read those words and I'm comfortable in my bed with my UGG sheets that I got on clearance at Bed Bath & Beyond, I'm feeling guilty. I'm getting survival
guilt,
which is very real. Till this day, I have a roof, I have a floor, and I have clothes, and I have my UGG sheets that I got on clearance.
And your kid stuff.
And I'm feeling guilty because why me can I be like this, and why cannot hundreds of families, thousands of families that don't have this? So survival guilt is also real that we have all been going through. But obviously it doesn't compare to what the pain that others have suffered.
It's a crazy array of emotions because I walk in and I see stuff and I'm like, oh, I had that. And I start to get, and I'm not an anxious person. And I start to get like anxiety of like, oh my God, I had that, I don't have it. And it's weird feelings of like, I need that. I want that. How am I going to get that? And it's overwhelming. So I feel it. You know, I've been looking for a home. We're in a temporary home right now. And we've been, seeing homes. And I walk in, I'm like, oh my God, I have to fill everything. I mean, I have to buy a couch. I have to buy linens. I have to buy forks.
Yeah.
I have to buy towels. And
Starting over, it's like starting
and you don't
all
have
over.
to do it all at once.
Yeah.
I know what's
You
the
don't have
rush.
to do it all at
What's
once.
the rush, right?
Well, you know, that's the back and forth game that we do with ourselves, you know, and it's like the thinking that I was going to go, you know, find things, you know, ya iba con mis, you know, oh, I'm going to go get it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, there's, I posted something the other day, like the two most powerful weapons are like patience and time.
Yes.
Patience and time, you know, and be patient. And it's the number thing that I'm not, you know. I'm not patient. I'm like, want it now. And
See, that's the lesson.
Patience, time, and perspective.
Yeah.
I would add.
Oh,
You know,
I like that.
I think your perspective before and your perspective after is very different, probably. And
yeah.
the things that you needed before, you realize like you're a lot more settled with very different things and people,
Yeah.
and that.
We can be happy with so little, and you know that don't get me wrong, I'm gonna go rebuild.
Yes.
Oh, yes, you are.
You know,
Of course
but you
you
put
are.
it into perspective. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been knocked on my ass. You know,
Yeah.
I've been humbled. This is probably the biggest. And during COVID, I'd lost my business, and I had to start again from zero.
And that was only a few years ago, right?
I know. And I'm like, how many tests do I need
Yeah.
here?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to be fine. I know I am. I know that there's nothing but onward. But I'm in that weird place. Oh, I know what I learned. I'm a get through it person. Let's solve this problem. I solve problems for my clients. My agency solves creative problems. So, you know, all the time we're solving problems. I'm super resourceful and I'm super proud of that. But I can't solve my problem. And I want to get through things quickly, right? Like I'm impatient. Let's get through it. No, you have to be in this. And I'm so uncomfortable. You know, I'm telling you, I thought a lot about this. Do I do this? Am I ready? You know, like who wants to hear a sad story, you know? And I'm like, oh my God, you know, and here's what I want to do, why I want to do it. I want to give back gratitude to just the number of people who've come around. I want to give gratitude to God, you know? I'm so grateful for that. And then there's the people that I want to care for, including my housekeeper, my handyman, my my gardener. I immediately like, you need to call here, you need to do this. Everyone's kind of looking out for each other. Kind of like what you're doing, sending me a bunch of stuff. Like, did you go here? And all of you guys have done something, and it's important and it's meaningful and it feels good because it can feel insurmountable. And then all of a sudden you get a little, I don't know, emoji or something. Don't send the fire emojis, by the way.
No, don't do that.
Too soon.
I've been limiting myself with that.
Okay.
I don't even say you're on fire because that's a different connotation.
that's-
Yes.
Too soon.
Can I tell you?
Yes.
Can I tell you? I was like, oh my God. It's so weird
I know.
how the mind
It is triggering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you think that someone on the other side might not want it or receive, that's not true. I think that there's moments that you feel like, wow, what does this look like? And then you get a like, hey, thinking about you. And you're like, okay.
I know.
You know?
I know. So I know you've mentioned many times your housekeeper and your handyman, and that says a lot about how you see them as practically family. And it's beautiful to see how through my radio show, we've been getting phone calls a lot from our people that depend on people like you, because that's where they are able to sustain themselves and maintain their families. And I'll never forget this one lady, housekeeper as well. She shared her story about how, like, it's very similar to what you just shared, how she lived the trauma of escaping the Palisades with her, you know, boss and the dogs, and how she had no job anymore. And how she has to sustain and maintain her kids, and how she was crying about losing what for her was her everything, because she was a live-in. So just hearing those stories are powerful because many of our viewers can relate to the fact that, you know, I have friends that went to Palisades High School because their moms worked there for years, and that was the safest and easiest thing to do. Drop off the kids at Palisades High School, go work in the area, and go back. So they had an amazing public education, but that's just gratefulness. And now all of a sudden it's gone. The job opportunities that help our people.
Exactly.
And it's real, right? Because of how the Palisades is, you know, it's far off. The people who worked there all week. Like they had multiple jobs. So their whole lives are obliterated. Their, you know, economic, everything. And then sometimes husband and wife work there because that was the easiest thing. So you're talking about a double impact. So I've been trying to, you know, help and even give them of anything that I have, from contacts to you know, items, and support them. And I'm Mexicana, so it's, you know, there were my housekeeper and my handyman, but they're my family.
Yes,
you know, we see them as family. You know, you know, Señora Leticia probably knew more about me than even one of my best friends because she saw me all day. All my emotions, all my problems.
You became your confidant many
That's
times.
right. That's right. And she prayed with me. And when we went to our Airbnb and I saw her, like we held each other, you know?
Es que en esos momentos you forget status. It's not about status anymore. It's about estamos in the same boat.
You're
Te
human.
abrazo, me abrazas, and we're going to be okay.
It's about people helping
Totalmente.
each other out.
That's
you
right.
know?
Yeah.
They help you out, and you help them, and you do become family. You do become very
close to
close.
them.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, she helped me keep my house together, my things together. You know, she's my right hand and everything.
So she probably misses that home as much as you do. And again, it's not a house. And then I mentioned this before. Like I always say that people didn't just lose a house, the structure, like you were saying. It's your home and all the memories and everything that was in there. So I imagine this is just as difficult for them too.
Of course.
To lose that.
Of course.
So when Tish wakes up today, what is that like? Like, what do you do? I mean, I know you still have your business,
The 360
but
agency.
yeah, your 360 agency, which that is your baby. But ever since you lost your home, like, what is life like now when you
What
wake
does
up?
the rebuild look like?
Well, the first week, I was like, wait, is this my life? And I would wake up and I'm like, I'm in an Airbnb, and I would think, I don't know. I thought it was going to go away.
And I remember the message you sent me that you said I was heading home. I was
drove
halfway
home.
there.
I've driven
halfway
home
there.
because I don't
It
know.
hit me.
Like immediately you wake up in the morning and you're like, wait, I'm still here. So you're processing that and you're like, okay, I am. And then, you know, we're eating out a lot and I'm not cooking at the Airbnb and I don't know why. I'm like, why am I not just cooking here? I live here. And then I had to tell the boys like, wait, we live here. We're not on vacation. We got to like switch gears. Some of the things that I did was like immediately go buy my son's blankets that they were familiar with so that they felt
A little bit of normalcy?
Yes.
A little bit. Or trying to.
just like the real, you know, I know what kind of blankets they like. I know what kind of the pressure on the pillows they like.
Right.
Just those little things that were meaningful. And then my son said, can you wash stuff so it smells like us?
Wow.
And your boys are in their 20s, and that's like, you're such a good mom.
Yeah.
These aren't little kids we're talking about.
And that's
These
as
are-
much as they're giving me emotionally. That's a lot, right?
That
'Cause
is.
we're talking. We women, we talk. We're in community. So for them to say, can you wash this so it
Mommy,
smells? I was like, that's code for, oh my God, I'm hurting. I need this. I miss this, right?
Yes.
But they don't communicate that way. It's code for, hey, I'm needing to feel grounded in my home. And I'm like, I know what you need. You need Tide with Febreze and some little Downy. I got you know? And that's what we did, you know, so they could feel like,
Well, and now you're a mom and you're feeling everything you're feeling, and you're also worried about them, which is the case of so many women especially. It's like you have to hold it together for everybody else and then yourself, and that's a big burden sometimes to carry with us.
The mental load.
That mental load, yeah. But it's important. It's important to share your experience and your stories with friends. Lean on your friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because as much as you are carrying with you, you need to also download a little bit. And that's why I think there's so many people that are reaching out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, you got to take care of your mental health and you have to make time for yourself.
Yeah.
Have you had that?
No,
Yeah.
there's an Equinox across the street from me, literally 2 blocks down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I go to the gym all the time. I work out all the time. Why can't I go in there? And everything is in steps,
Same.
right? Like your mind. I've never really dealt with depression. So I'm like, oh, people can tell you, oh, just go do it. I may have told people just go do it. I'm like embarrassed about that now. Like, oh, just go do it. Just do it. Just take the steps. And I'm like,
especially because you're in the empowerment business.
Yes.
Like we're all about empowering women.
Yeah.
Women raise the game, 360 agency.
yes.
But now you're like,
All of a sudden, right?
You know what I'm learning, Argelia? To celebrate every little win.
Yes.
Every little win, celebrate it, make a big thing out of it, and then take the next one. And increasingly, they get bigger and bigger, and you get stronger and stronger. But trying to go from here to like, oh, I'm going to take my aerobics class and my Pilates class. Like, I am thinking, the insurance, the car, this, I don't have a place to live. I only have it for this long. There's just no way. There's only so much room, capacity that we have.
Yeah.
For someone else, it might be good for them to go to the gym and that might find their healing. I have found my healing in trying to make our place, our home, with little things for, me and my sons. And then counting every win, every small ones.
I love that because my husband says,
Yep.
we only celebrate the big wins, like the big ratings and the big everything. I'm like, no, every win, small or big, is a victory.
That's right.
Regardless.
That's right.
Entonces yo sí soy de palmaditas.
Qué
because lo trabajé, me voy a festejar, even if it's for a minute. But you know what? I'm going to take a pause and acknowledge that win. And I love that because in the end, life is so short. You never know when it's going to go.
Right.
That por no festejar tus mini victorias, te perdiste momentos que valen oro.
And that's
And that's
a great
priceless.
message
Yes.
that you're giving everyone, all of us,
Yeah,
We take
small-
it for granted
We
sometimes.
do.
We really do.
We're hard on ourselves.
Very.
We're hard on ourselves and we think that small wins isn't good enough. No, I have to do this. And the truth is that no, it's all the small wins that lead to that give us courage, that give us visibility, that give us joy. And we're like, vamos, you can do more, but you got to celebrate the small wins. And so right now I'm living in small wins. I'm living in other people's clothes and shoes,
Well, it looks good on you, girl.
I know,
thank
right?
you.
It's amazing.
Diría mi mamá, tienes cuerpo de limosnera. Todo te queda. Todo te queda. Todo te queda.
One of my great girlfriends who's like super stylish, she's like, I've rounded up, these women and put some stuff together. And I'm like, I can't wait to see it and get it because yes, the answer is yes. Before I would have been like mortified, I mean, I have been mortified. My girlfriend, Luisa, that you guys know, she came over with her, I'm going to say like used PJs and comfy clothes. And, before I would have been like, ay, no necesito eso. And now I'm like, no solo lo necesito, but I welcome it because you were in it. And I'm like, oh my God, give it to me.
And she smells good, by the way. We love you, girl.
Y huele bien.
Huele bellísimo. You know what? We're very grateful for your time on this podcast.
Thank you.
Todo lo que has dicho, obviamente there's much more to share, but we also want to be respectful of your time. And also because there's a lot of subscribers and comadritas learning from this. They're struggling. They're going through their own struggles. It could be the same reason or other type of struggles. So now that you're on your journey of reset, rebuild, rise up again, words para ellas coming from you, Tish.
Wow.
Words of encouragement.
You know what? You are more powerful than what you know. And just take a step at a time. I don't know. Is that
That's you're right. Take
You
a step
are-
at a time.
Just a step at a time. It's an old poem, and I just know this part, and it's camina, caminante, que al caminar abres tu camino. That's it. Put one foot in front of the other y abres tu camino. And it's going to be scary, and it's going to be adventurous, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to bring you to your knees, all of that. But again, who you get to meet yourself at a different level is so powerful. And I will close out with saying, I've gotten to meet my sons at a different level. They have become young men in this space of trying to help me do this. And I'm like, wow, I'm meeting a dimension of myself, and I'm meeting them as young men,
Right.
soothing me, telling me, Mom, it's going to be okay. We're going to bounce back, Mom. Mom, we are good. I'm like, we are? I'm like, okay.
And they're telling you this.
They are telling me this.
That is so comforting and powerful.
Yes.
At the same time.
Who
right?
knows what's going on with them?
know, but
they're
there's-
giving me that
strength.
you can do it. And I'm actually going like, I know I can, but they're telling me I can't. Okay, we can. So, God, bet on yourself, take those steps, and just trust yourself. Yeah.
Right now you mentioned God and take the steps. It reminds me of a beautiful passage. I don't know where I read it, but this was many years ago. And it was about a woman walking on the beach. And I know you were in front of a beach. And she only saw a pair of footsteps. And she's like, God, where were you this whole time? Oh my God, I'm getting emotional. Where were you all this time that I needed you? Like I only see one pair of footsteps. And she was questioning God. Where were you when I needed you the most? And I know that a lot of people question God when these tragedies happen.
That's right.
But the beauty of that passage is that, God responds and says, the whole time I was carrying you.
Yeah.
You just didn't see it. But the whole time I was carrying you.
Those are my footsteps.
And those are your
Wow.
footsteps, Tish.
Those are God's
Yeah.
footprints.
Yeah.
You're not
that's
alone,
beautiful.
amiga. You have God always on your side. You have
Yes.
us, and you have a
Thank
community
you.
of women
You do,
that
community.
you've supported for so many years,
Yes.
and we got your back, girl. This
Yeah.
is
You
this is
created
us.
this community.
Yeah.
Remember
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You created this community, and look,
It's
now
beautiful.
you needed us this time.
Thank you.
So
Oh my
we're here
God.
for you.
Yes.
We love you.
Oh my God.
We love you, comadrita.
Thank you for sharing everything.
Te queremos
Thank
mucho.
you.
comadrita.
Yeah.
I know.
Love you
Brother,
guys.
thank
Love
you. I'm
We're
so
here for
blessed.
you.
I'm so
We're
grateful.
gonna have you back.
Yes.
We'll have you back to talk about rebuilding.
Yes.
And telling us about everything you've also
Yeah,
done.
give me a year.
Because we wanted to have you on before this
Before we
happened.
did.
To talk about your agency
Yes.
and Women Raise the Game. And we are going to talk about that because we were there for that launch of that
Yes.
beautiful event. Oh, this is just the beginning, Tish.
Yes,
Like, it's a
it
reset,
is.
it's a rebuild. And so we want you to stick around and watch the rest of the episode. We're going to talk about Vámonos USA, a beautiful nonprofit that is now giving to, people that have lost so much. And so before we make that transition, we just want to say que te queremos un chingo.
Yes.
Igual,
Nunca
igual,
cambies.
hermana. Thank you for using your voice, your platform. And just actually, aside from the business, just thank you for being great human beings. Thank you.
We love
You
you.
make
Love
it easy,
you.
honey.
Love you. Yeah.
Give us a minute, comadritas. We'll be right back. We're going to regroup. Nos vemos ahorita. No se vayan. Go get your tea. Your tadín tea, by the way.
Yes.
And we're back. We want to thank Tish so much for sharing her story. Tish, thank you. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for being so brave. And to all the families that also share the same story, we're with you guys. And part of that story, I think, is what just affected us so much and so many other Angelinos. And, LA Strong, rose up from that.
Yes.
And, one of the things that we wanted to do is how can we help? What can we do? Which is what so many other people felt. And one of the people that we went to was Susy from Vámonos USA, who
Yes.
helped us reach some of these families.
Yes, and after hearing Tish's story of resilience and rebuilding, and we know that that's where we are now. But the beauty is that there are organizations out there, girls, that are making it a little bit easier for us, right? Because I know
Yes.
that Diana wanted to jump the gun immediately,
Yes.
but we're like, how do you start? Where do we look?
Yeah.
So speaking of making a difference, there is this beautiful organization called Vámonos USA, which I'm heavily involved in. We'll share the story later on how it came about. But the beauty of Vámonos USA is that it has been heavily involved with our people in the community. And I'm so happy to be able to connect right now with one of the co-founders, Susy Garcia, which we have here via Zoom.
Susie.
She's a busy mommy.
Hi, ladies.
Hola, hi,
next
Susie.
time I have to be sitting there with you.
Oh, next
Yes.
time.
Next time.
We invited her to the podcast room, but she's a mommy like many of us, and she's like, I cannot make it on time, but we appreciate you making the time to hide in your car to talk to us comadritas right now.
Car club.
Mommy Car Club.
Yes.
That's right.
Eres la quinta comadrita ahorita. Susie, just really briefly, can you tell us really quick what Vámonos USA has been able to do with how you really kind of started getting into action immediately?
Absolutely. I think all of us felt the need to do something about it. I mean, some people were leaving, rushing out the door, and let's get out of here as quick as possible, but not me. I needed to make sure that I was doing something about it to feel calm. And thanks to this organization that has opened the doors to so many sponsors, we were able to gather essential items as we have been doing for the past few years. And to my surprise, the sponsors were now reaching to me. They were reaching out to me. Now the opposite. They were telling me, we know you are connecting families to resources. So what do you need? And how much do you need? So then I, talked to Argy, who's been, one of the backbones of this organization. And the comadres were already ready to help. So it has been a blessing to be able to connect the sponsors to wonderful, comadres such as you ladies, willing to help. And then the families trusting us with letting us know their stories and their struggles. Yeah. So I am just overall grateful that I'm in a position to help, to gather the resources as this organization always has, and give it to the people that need them in this, time of need.
Yeah.
More than any other year before. But it's been a blessing to see the humanity in people when, tragedy strikes. Everybody jumps to help. So I'm so grateful to all of you and to the families that have reached out to us, trusting us with their stories and with the struggles and the hardships that they're going through. People still paying mortgage and now paying rent. So, it's been a beautiful thing to see how the community just joins forces and makes things happen for the families that have been affected.
Well, Susie, we have been curating care packages all week. The studio is full of diapers and formula and more things coming in.
Our homes, our cars,
our homes.
Yes.
Right.
Diana's mom's car, garages.
Yes.
Thanks to donors like Baby to Baby, Zoe Church watching. Thank you so much, because without that, then we're not able to do what we want to do. But you know what? We have 100 families and plus with being benefited by the work that we're doing together. And guess what? We have very exciting news, Susie, for Vámonos USA nonprofit. So I'm gonna pass the baton to Goma Mindy here, who has something important to share.
Yeah, Susie, I got a beautiful story to share right now. We received an amazing donation.
Okay.
Yeah, from a private donor for the amount of $5,000. Oh. Yeah.
You see, on top of what you guys have raised already.
Exactly.
Imagine how many months of grocery, just families not having to worry about how am I going to put food on the table.
Yeah.
That's not even our table to begin with, because we're, displaced to a hotel.
Exactly.
Or people living in relatives' garages right now.
Yes.
Kiddos sleeping in sleeping bags.
Yes.
The amounts of stories that we have receiving and being entrusted with, I cannot begin to explain just the feeling of just sadness and hope at the same time. I can't explain it, but seeing you ladies pack up your cars up to the,
Right.
up to the roof, not being able to see backwards is like driving a truck, just to make sure that we got every single box of diapers and wipes and water and toilet paper to give to these families so they don't have to spend that dollar on these things that are essential.
Yeah.
Susy.
It gives me hope in humanity, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it.
There's more.
Yeah, one of the things I do want to touch on something that you said, and you said this early on, and I think it changed my perspective also, and it just gave me a greater perspective, which is their needs now are not the same that their needs are going to be in a week or two, a month from now, 2 months, 5 months from now.
Yes.
You get that immediate need, right? That immediate aid. You get the blankets and you get the toilet paper, but how long is that going to last, right? And then you have to put gas in your car.
Yeah.
And you have to get groceries. And so, I think the donations coming into Vámonos USA right now, and it's in 5,000 seems like a lot, but like we all know how much things cost, right?
yeah.
And
Especially
so-
now.
Oh, my
especially
gosh.
now. And so I think any donation that you guys give just helps families through these months of figuring things out. And one thing that is important to share and important to say is that 100% of these donations are going straight to the families. There are no admin fees. Everything is going to them 100%. And everything, because it is a 501c, everything is categorized and it's done through through the law. And
Legalities.
so, and so that is something that to me touched me. I've seen how hard you've worked just tirelessly to get all of these donations and we've done everything we can. We are stuffing our cars.
Yeah.
We are
Oh,
driving
gosh,
from
yes.
one place to another. Diana has a storage bin at her house and
Stuffing the studio here.
Yeah. And then,
everywhere.
just this past week, we were putting together these care packages for these families that are curated.
We're going to show the videos right now so you guys can
specifically
see.
for every family.
So you can see
Yeah.
the curated packages that are going to each family. So we're receiving stories, like Susy said, of each of the families that are affected. So we know how many adults, how many kids, and what their needs are.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so these packages are all new items that are going straight to the families. And obviously, the more we get, the more we can give.
Big hug from me. And if they're willing to come and see the next distribution, we want, through your videos, RG, to show that the help is getting to those families.
Absolutely.
100%.
Sí. So, Susy, that you started this many years ago, amiga, with your vision of creating this beautiful project of love. It's taken years for it to grow this way, but we never thought in our wildest dreams that we would be in this position. But look, Diosito sabe por qué hace las cosas, por qué nos juntó y por qué las comadres Unfiltered ahora son parte de esta misión tan bonita
Yes.
de Vámonos USA. Así que gracias, amiga. Sabes que cuentas con nosotros siempre. And
Thank you,
for your
Susy.
time.
Thank you,
Really,
Susy.
thank
We
you.
love you.
Honey, thank you so much.
There are
Un besito a
not
tus nenes
enough words.
hermosos and we'll be chatting. Okay, next time in the studio, amiga.
Yes.
In the studio.
Mwah. We love you.
Te
On to
queremos.
the next one.
Bye, Susie.
Bye, Susie. Love you.
Oh my gosh, I get so emotional just hearing those news again about this private donor, $5,000. Tell all your
dollar.
friends.
Yes.
Tell my friends, and we can all be friends.
Yes.
Donating.
Yes,
Yes.
spread the
Yes.
word.
Yes.
Spread the word. And the thing is that a lot of people don't have a lot of money, right, to
Yeah.
donate. They don't have the $100 or the $200, but everyone's got $1, $2, $5. Every dollar counts.
And 100% of that donation goes directly
straight to the people.
fundraiser.
That's
We're
so
never going to see the money.
No.
We are never going to see the cash.
No.
We're never going to see the check because it goes straight to
The organization.
the organization.
Yes.
And that is a beautiful thing for many of you to have peace of mind, because I know that during these times there's a lot of fake stuff out there. So
Right.
be very mindful of where you donate your money. We're
Yeah.
not saying give it to us. No, you decide
No.
at the end of the day. But we're telling you right now, we have this organization that has been vetted and backed up by all the legalities. And
And you can look it up.
my name is attached to it. And there's
Right.
no way I would do something that is against.
unethical.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you. That was a word. But thank you so, comadritas. This has been such a heartfelt, amazing episode
yeah.
that,
Yes.
yes, it was very profound and deep and painful. But at the same time, como la vida, tenemos que levantarnos, you know?
right.
We keep going, we keep
And we
rising
have
up,
each
which is the name
other.
of the foundation.
That's right.
The effort. Rise Up
Rise
LA.
Up LA.
Rise Up
We
LA.
rise up together.
That's
Yes.
right.
So together.
And
Definitely.
keeping these families in your mind. I know that there's a lot other things going on, but we just got to keep them in our hearts and in our minds and do everything that we can.
And keep checking in
Exactly.
on them. That's the other thing. Like you said, it's not just helping them today. Check up on them in a month.
This is
2 months,
long
6 months.
term.
This is
yeah.
long term
This is
because
long-term.
rebuilding is not going to be easy.
Rebuilding takes time.
Oh, completely. So
Yeah.
if today we wake up with the roof over our head, a bed, a beautiful home, just think that a lot of people don't have that. And that is a way for us to say, oh, you know what? It's my time to give to those who need the most. And so there it is. It's our 2 cents from Comadres Unfiltered podcast. We also want to thank Tadin Tea for sponsoring this very emotional, heartfelt, beautiful
Yes,
episode. Tadin,
yes.
thank you so much for providing
We love it.
the delicious tea. Y comadritas, ustedes, my gosh.
This is
I mean,
so good.
we need to decompress now. So I love you
Yes.
girls for everything that you brought to this episode today
Yes.
as well,
Thank
with your
you.
heart.
And let's decompress with some delicious tea, right?
Salud.
This is really good.
Salud,
Salud.
comadritas.
Salud.
I love you. Love you so much.
Salud with tea.
And at home and wherever you're watching or listening, las queremos también.
Yes.
Together, we
you all.
rise up. Que no?
That's right.
Yeah.
Rise up,
que
LA.
sí.
Rise up, LA. Yes.
Stronger than ever.
I love it.
Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to see your reviews and hear your thoughts. You can also follow Comadres Unfiltered on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more updates. New episodes every Tuesday. Until next time, comadritas.